So, hello and welcome to the next update of my quest of bringing the automation Gameworld to life in the game Transport Fever 2. So we have now reached 1885 and some more things have happened. So first of all, see these two icons here, that's oil and fuel. So oil has been discovered in a lone oil well in the Gasmean Great Plains. And so the oil is moved to the Ellsbury cargo station via horse carriage and with ships. I can zoom in, so the poor horses, at least they carry the ore, the oil downhill, and then ships go around here to Ellsbury. We have a few more cargo lines here, so not just machine, bricks, tools, etc. but also one for oil and two delivery ones. So let's focus on the oil one first. So oil is carried, and here we see it, over to Harford. Is being refined in the Harford oil refinery, and then the refined oil is transported back. So here we should be able to see this oil being unloaded, and we have a consolidation in double traction here with oil train. So unloading the oil onto a ship here, and then it's going to load the refined oil and making its way back to Ellsbury. And there the oil is refined into fuel in the Railford fuel refinery, so it's already on its second stage, and it is supplying plenty of cities. So Bad Neusund and Wilburg at the other end of Gasmea, Vinola Bay in the middle of Gasmea, Harford has its first supply of goods, Karlstadt in Hetvesia, and Hetvesia Fruinia, so those cities also have fuel. And then we have CB at the top of Gasmea. This is delivered by ship, which is still filling up, so this has been a rather recent addition. The delivery to Vinola Bay and Wilburg also goes via train, so we have our first cargo line, which we happen to which we don't see here. We see here some new passenger trains, so there were also a few upgrades, but I'll get to that those in a moment. So we have our first cargo trains on this line along the Great Plains, so that's the non-green stuff here. And for instance, there is no stop in Picton for those cargo trains, so those simply pass through in the middle. Let's see where it is at the moment, and here we don't see it. We see it here, the fuel train. It's on its way to Wilburg. So here we are. And so that Wilburg and Bad Neusund here gets their fuel. So Wilburg has its first fuel, and then there is a horse carriage line taking the fuel north to Bad Neusund. I don't want to put the fuel into the ships that carry bread at the moment to Rensweiler, because at some point ships will lose the ability of carrying oil and fuel and other things at the same time. So these, or at least one of the early ships can do that, but not the others. So I try to keep the that we'll get in later decades. So that's why I will keep those apart. There is a second a delivery line, so I swapped the machine delivery to Rensweiler to a train as well, because that horse carriage line across half the map was really tricky to manage, and now we have a boxcar train that takes the machines to Rensweiler, and that made things a little bit easier. So now we're probably getting into the realm where we will have less vehicles to do the same or even more stuff. New passenger trains, so passenger train types rather. So here we see one. So we have new passenger carriages for the EU car set. So these compartment cars, and this one is half full, but it should be, yeah, get the same amount here at Aylesbury, but this will fill up then later. What we also have is a new train line from Picton up to the north. So this dark green thing here. So Picton is the hub where 3 train lines meet. One is the Coast Great Plains connection, that's the new one, we'll show in a minute. Then the already existing Great Plains Shemland connection up to Wilborg, and then the connection back to Harford. So that's where these 3 different trains meet, and 2 of them, so there's the Harford-Picton one and the Coastal Great Plains, they share a platform, or they share a track at the moment, but they use a different halves of the platform because these trains don't arrive that often, and if they are blocking the others, then it doesn't really matter that much. So that's why they share the same track until it stops working, and then I'll probably have to add a new track for those as well. So it goes north from Picton to Durbridge, onto CB. Here we are. And we can also see then a new locomotive, the 260 Mogul, and a new set of passenger cars. The big difference here is they can go up to 75 kph. The old limit was, I think, in the 60s. With the old old limit was actually 45 with the old general locomotive. And here probably in some point need to extend the platforms a bit. At the moment it doesn't matter. The only thing that's affected is the loading speed. But still something I can do. I built all the stations for 3 track sections long, but only have at the moment platforms for 2 track sections, so that's very easy to extend. After CB it goes to Hollymore. Why was this thing waiting here? Anyway, because there isn't anything else here on the track. From Hollymore to Highport. And then to the terminus in Barron Hill. Here we see the counterpart, so here are actually 2 trains on it. And this one is also reasonably full, and they also finally start making some nice profit with the faster locomotives and carriages. And then we only up here have now 1 horse carriage, 1 stagecoach to Casmouth to Eastport, and Eastport to Menvin, and Menvin to Pena, so I won't have trains here. So I'll keep this a bit of a underdeveloped area, this west coast of Gasmea. So we have now a very nice hub in Harford with lots of train lines here, and also passenger lines for trains, and lots of stuff happening in the ports as well. So lots of stuff is waiting, oil and machines and ore and fuel. The fuel goes, that's the delivery line to the south, so towards Karlstadt, towards Terzo, yes. So that's one ship. At the moment I could use a cargo train as well, but I think ships, at least for the time being, make it easier to control the amount of stuff that's being moved. I might switch to cargo trains at some point. And also we now have an ever-expanding hub in Aylesbury as well for cargo, and a at least fledgling train hub, probably getting 1 extra track here as well for Picton, and also some more traffic on the Great Plains line. Not much change in Hetvesia and Fruinia, so we now have this machines factory operating to an extent. I'm turning steel limited somewhat, yeah, and transfer, but then I'm not really steel limited. I'm limited by the amount that the horse carriages can carry up the hill. So this needs stronger vehicles with more power that I can start producing more machines in Hetvesia. The supply isn't too bad though for all these Hetvesian and Fruinian cities that need machines. Otherwise, no change here. So the steel is now, oh, it's now coal limited, so can probably, but that's also then the limit here, what these horse carriages can carry down from the Montevilla's coal mine. Again, it needs better vehicles. What's that? Jam. That's waiting for lumber, which is coming here, so then this is probably fine. Can probably need a few less vehicles on that, but doesn't seem to be blocking anything in particular. Good. So Archana has now working machine supply, so that was a bit of a chore. So machines, so lumber, they now move lumber across the mountain ridge here, and I think they also have new locomotives. That's the passenger one, which I still need to replace at some point. This one, yeah, so a fairly locomotive, which is much better with these gradients, so I'm still struggling to move all the lumber, stones, and grain across, even with those. So again, I'm waiting for stronger trains. So we have the tools factory and the machines factory now sharing the lumber, and also steel is being produced. Coal is easy, getting coal from Yanagrad. Steel ore is mined here in Kurlin, moved via ship to Alrima, which got a big upgrade, so that's why I've called this the Alrima update. Alrima has now a proper cargo port and also a passenger port. So cargo is ore and also for oil and fuel, but more about that later. And I probably can start this because this is still waiting for some factories to spool up. So the ore is then moved from here across this mountain ridge to a new cargo port in Advonia, so that's the city near Kronagrad that is coastal. And then from here the ore is moved to the steel mill, and then the steel is moved to the machines factory, and then the machines are supplied to all the cities in Archana that need machines. So Mara, Charybda, Yanagrad, and Sliza, which are all over the place. So Sliza is up here, so some machines are packed, and here we see them waiting. No, here we see them waiting. Are transported back with the grain bread train. So now these three different cargo types fight for scarce space in boxcars. We have one appearing here, so let's see what this train picks up. Mara is supplied directly via horse carriage, that's part of the basin, and then some machines are actually carried back the same way the ore came, and then supplied to, I think it was Charybda on the Archanan East Coast. So here everything is loaded, but the space is limited, and there is a certain logic how the game allocates these different types to the same type of wagon. So we're slowly outgrowing the train capacity that we have at the moment. Another jam, fuel to Kronagrad is jamming, so I have to reduce the amount of carriages or the amount of fuel that's coming in, but more about that later. So here we see ore incoming, and then this one transports machines back, and that can probably be also a few more. So that's something I have to note down. And then But I think Charybda already has its first machines. Yes, and actually plenty of supply. So it's not much that much of a big deal that I'm not getting all the machines away from Advonia here. So we now have another nice hub here now with a busy port and a busy cargo terminal and a busy truck station, and where stuff is exchanged. And I think passenger train wise, the basin connections now extend down to Mara, so I ditched the single stop train. I can't do the same for the single stop train between Sliza and Vashdug yet, because if I were to extend the basin connections, I have to add the line around here, which doesn't work with the bridges that I have at the moment. So just a stone bridge, they need too much bridge pillars, so I have to wait for better bridges to add a new junction here going towards Sliza without ripping out everything here, which I don't want to do. So the other thing, fuel is now also working in Archana. So Archana has two own oil supplies here in north of Tuscala, and here the crude oil is taken all the way around here to the Yelta oil refinery. And if you see this bigger port or this bigger landing, so that's why there is a different ship type. This one, just for oil and fuel, and it's a large ship. So all ships we've been using so far are small ships, and I think these fit very well to the scale that we have for rivers. So there's a small landing, and I think just from the looks of it, this isn't too terrible. Whereas large ships, it's something I will confine only to the oceans, and they also need plenty of space for the ports. So for oil, that's something that the starter ship that can only carry oil fuel needs. Whereas for the other bigger ports, imagine having here 3 large docks, which I still might do at some point in the future when I'm getting better ships, larger ships, that I can revise these lines. But you can get very far just with small ships, so I'll probably keep that. Then the refined oil is taken to Alrima, and then with this line here again across the ridge to the Advonia cargo terminal, loaded onto a ship, taken to the fuel refinery, and then from here to all cities in Archana that need fuel, and also Dalluha, of course, so Bazara and Alrima. Probably not at this point, but later on when they have all the supercars in Dalluha and all this high-end fuel that's then simulated by both Dalluhan cities needing fuel, and then 3 cities, 2 in the basin needing fuel. So Kronograd also getting its Kronograd has, but yeah, its first supply. The other one is goods. And Novobeskov. The other one is Yelta. This is actually also a horse carriage line across here, which has to start running. So here is a bit of fuel lying around here. So that needs some attention. Probably blocked by this jam at the moment. So now Archana and Dalluha have fuel, and at some point they will also supply Port Diemen, but I'm waiting again till I have better trucks to supply that as well. So that I haven't fully made up my mind whether Gasmea or Archana will supply the Fruinian fuel in the end. I think that was it. Some minor things. We have a new horse carriage type in Archana. That's the Droshki. Looks a bit different compared to the Troika that we had before. Hetvesia has also not only adapted the steam buses to go up Naubad, which are still running well. uphill. So these things are still a thing. In Hetvesia and also now in Fruinia going to Meranio. Berlau, they have finally built a second bridge in the city, and now we have a steam tram operating here in Berlau, which is maybe a bit of overkill for this rather small city, but I figure they fully embrace the steam stuff. So, you know, see the tram tracks here. And I couldn't use them before because I didn't want to lay tram tracks on the main road through the town, which at least will be later than the main thoroughfare here along the coast. At the moment there isn't that much traffic because no one owns horse carriages and it's not really worth it going anywhere with them. This will fundamentally change once we have cars, and we'll see plenty of traffic here. So Berlau has an extra bridge, and now trams operating, which are, yeah, sort of half full, but these are never really expected to make much money. They're simply there to reduce the time that passengers need to reappear at the train station. And here the connections are fine. This one is actually making a nice profit, and these are, I think, ideally sized for what's happening at the moment. So I think that's it. So everything is going well at the moment, apart from the odd jam here and there, and fuel is, I think, still spooling up to get the distribution to the most distant cities. Yeah, so CB hasn't seen much and Terso hasn't seen anything either, but otherwise everything is now done except plastics and more, which needs more oil, which needs more refined oil, and also which needs then the plastics factory to do their thing. Where is the plastics factory? Midbury. Here. Oh yeah, here. So I need at some point need to get refined oil to here, and then the plastic to the goods factories. There is one more in Fruinia, Piancosata, and also they have a goods factory here in Viestella, and one more in Archana, where the chemical plant is next to Novobeskov, and the goods factory is in Volkov. So that shouldn't be too difficult, except getting the oil or the refined oil, and that would mean connecting all these Dalluha oil rigs, which haven't been discovered yet, so they're simply on the map because they make sense. I don't want to place industries later, but yeah, they technically haven't been discovered yet, so that will happen then later. And I think since plastics haven't been invented really till the 1920s or so, I'll wait until then. So the next update will be late 1900, so something like December 1900, because 1900 will be part of, or will have some game changers. So the first trains that can go up to 100 kph, and the first cargo wagons that can go to 80 instead of 50. And so this, and I think also the first a stronger non-horse trucks, so steam trucks, I think. And so this will then shift and a few things, enable a few things that I can get more across these mountain ridges. And otherwise there isn't anything big happening until then. So yeah, next update will be then late 1900s, and as a bonus I think we can take a nice ride along the northern coast. Let's see where we start, probably in Picton, because there I suspect the trains will be closer to. Yeah, one is here on its way to Picton, so I'll wait till this one is here, and then we go from Picton all the way to Barren Hill via train at a new record speed of 75 kph. So here we are, then let's jump on board. And yeah, this also needs the extra platform to have a higher loading speed. The stagecoach that you're seeing, that's the inner city bus, so to speak, for Picton. The train is almost empty, so I suspect with the new faster trains and bigger carriages, it's probably now a bit overcapacity here, but let's see how things change all around, because with faster trains you usually get more riders as well. So that's something I'll probably be able to see in 5 years' time. So whenever you upgrade any line, that's always a bit of a system shock for the entire system, because everything here is connected to everything else, lots of moving parts, literally and figuratively, so sizing is always a challenge, especially with something as volatile as passengers, because there isn't really any irregularity. There are actual sims that go from city A to city B for work or for shopping. So look back, and now first across the river to Durbridge. So not quite being at top speed, but almost. Let's see whether we'll be able to reach 75 at some point. Do we see the funnel of a ship? We're crossing the next river. So here is the big bricks factory north of east of CB. And there is CB ahead. To the right we can catch a glimpse of the busy port of CB. So there are lots of ship traffic on the northern coast. That's, I think, the Greenhall farm, and ships picking up grain and delivering bread. So next up is Hollymore, and the landscape is getting a bit more hilly. There are plenty of people waiting in the other direction, so I suspect the other train should be ahead on the way back. So we see some bread delivery horse carriages on the lift. I think it's bread. So that's Hollymore. Well, we're also seeing what I forgot to mention earlier. Here is now the end for the southern northern connection. So it goes now past Midbury and also stops in Hollymore, and then goes from Hollymore, Midbury down to Harford and then down to Springvale. So that was an extension that also happened. So there we see a train ahead, and that looks like our counterpart on the same train line, just going the other direction. So let's have a good look. This looks reasonably full. The next stop is Highport. And onto the final stop, Barren Hill. And we're seeing one of the Easter eggs in Transport Fever 2, so animals that exist and are scared by trains. So now it's going to be single track, because that's approaching the terminus. I don't think I will extend it further. So we didn't hit 75, but I think we hit 70 on occasion. So yeah, that was a ride along the new coastal connection from Picton to Barren Hill. Otherwise, as I said, next update will be then late 1900s, so late in 1900, so something like November, December or so, and then with even faster trains and more powerful trains. See you then.